too. So I basically we well, not even re-edited. I edited it for the first time because it was just raw footage, and I had to add the voiceover bits. So I basically I said what I basically would have said back in 2006. So I made it sound a lot like the early episodes. I even recorded it on this same exact camera mic. So it wasn't an external mic, it was a camera mic, and basically to make it like shitty how it was. But now, after all these years, that episode is finished, and it's been 20 years in the making.
So that miracle piano was really, I got that at, it was either Sears or JCPenney, and I was with my sister, and I think my birthday was coming up, or I think that's what it was. I think it was my birthday, and she actually bought me that piano back then, whatever year that was out. So I was a kid when I got that piano, and I remember I had it sitting in my closet for many years. Well, I played it once and was like, oh, this thing isn't very good, but that game that you showed in the video, it's not very good, and it's not. And then I just had it sitting in the closet for many years, but that's actually might be the only thing gaming-wise as far as a real thing from my actual childhood, because a lot of that my Atari games and my NES games and stuff, like, that was like 40 years ago, so it's mostly all been lost. So that's actually one of the few things gaming-wise that exists that's actually just like from my childhood. And there's one other thing that was getting into, so maybe there were probably a bunch of things, but another thing that I had given you, you probably remember this, was from the TMNT 3 episode. The katana sword was a thing that I bought at the mall in New Jersey.
Baby, my boys,
exclusive extra. I'm actually looking at that sword right it's hanging on a wall. But anyway, so going back a little bit to season 1, so we had made the working on the Back to the Future video. That video was all the clips and background screens and everything. I always thought that one was really funny. Yeah. You know what though? Actually, for those clips you mentioned, I think at one point we did the clips, and I don't know which versions are there now. I suppose the original are still on the channel if you look them up, but I think the official version actually became the clipless version, which really sucks the life out of it. But I think there was like a period of listening about clips, especially when we were DVDs like back then. But now I feel like those videos should be seen in their own form. It wasn't just the DVDs, so we were taking the outputs for the DVDs, but also it was YouTube. YouTube used to be a lot different than it is now. If you upload, I have to go through this every day with like streaming and stuff. So if you upload a video now, they're putting music that gets ID claims or whatever happened. But back in those days, it was a lot different. You have to worry much more back then than now. Now, if you upload a video and it has a clip in it, you might get a content ID match if your video is modified, which stinks, but it's a lot better than how it used to be, because in those days, if a company came after you and they disliked that movie clip or whatever, you would get a strike on your channel. And if you got 3 strikes, they would terminate your channel. And that actually literally happened to us twice. There were 2 times where the channel came down. And we had to work it out and get the channel put back up, and that was a whole nightmare.
speaking of like YouTube issues or whatever. So I actually think that's something that got better with YouTube, to where like we don't have to worry if we accidentally put like somebody's music in there and it's content ID. It's like, okay, it goes out, but then that artist gets the money for it, and that's better than our whole channel getting taken down. So, but okay, so going back to season one, we had done the Back to the Future episode, and I think between Back to the Future and maybe whatever came next was like Wally Bear and all around in there. I think it was going to be episode 8 or 9. We were going to do an episode on E.T., the Atari game, and I would always draw title cards back there, and James and I were in the process of making an episode for it, and it was just going to be, the standard nerd episode game review, and I had the title card, and we were ready to go. And I ended up telling James the story because I'm a dork, and I love all this retro video game stuff. And I used to go on Atari Age a lot, and I would read a lot of lore, and I still do to this day. I'm reading an Atari book now, actually a really good one. But I'm always reading stuff about Atari and Nintendo and anything. And by the way, in the comments, if anybody knows any really good retro video game books that are out there, let me know because I like reading retro video game books.
Have you read Once Upon a Atari?
That goes back to college.
It does, but did you read the new book he put out? Like, it was like a few years ago or so, but I was not working on this.
I did not read the book of it. So I used to have the VHS tapes of it that I think I would show you back in college, and those had those great stories from there was Todd Fry who would talk about how he would, while he was making Pac-Man, he'd be snorting coke and shit. And then there was maybe it was Howard Scott Warshaw or somebody else who would climb on the walls and stuff like that. Atari just seemed like this crazy place, and I love that it seemed like this crazy place because you had these crazy games and crazy guys, and it just made for a great story. And I'll definitely have to buy the book and get that. There was these great Atari stories, and everybody knows it now, but the E.T. landfill, and back then, at that time, in 2006 or whatever, it used to just be people would talk about it on the Atari Age forums and be like, oh, do you think they really exist? Were they really buried and all this stuff? And then there was also the story about Sword Quest and all of those treasures and everything that goes into that. So I would tell James all the stuff that I would read on Atari Age, and he thought it was really interesting. And then he started talking to Kevin about it, and they developed it into what became the indie video game the movie. Even though I told James about the idea of it, but I didn't really have too much involvement in that because I'm just I like to record the gameplay footage and do that kind of thing. James is a movie maker. And Kevin, those guys are into making movies and everything. So when they went to do that, I stayed behind because it's not my passion to make. It's not my. I know I play characters and stuff, but it's not my passion to act. It's not my passion to be a director. I know a lot of people want to be a big movie director. I don't really care about. I just like to play video games and make silly videos and stuff. But I'm not like that. So maybe James, do you want to talk anything about what happened with the AVGN movie? Because the idea of being a YouTuber, and one of the first YouTubers, I think, to make a movie, I know some other YouTubers have done it since. I know Fred made one, and recently Markiplier made one. But this idea of being a YouTuber and then going and making a movie, do you have anything to say about that?
Yeah. I don't remember. I think Fred was first, but I'm not sure. The fans that made that movie possible, they donated, and we were able to make it without any major studios on a fraction of a budget that really was super nowadays. Just to think of a movie under $1 million, and way under $1 million, and for it to have such a big, epic scope to it. Even though it's a big action plot, it has a low budget aesthetic to it, where you have a miniature plane hanging on a string and stuff like that. So it originally took out the string, but I feel like we should have left the strings in. That would have been better.
Now that it's been a long time, and you know, the movies, I guess, in the past now, and I'm sure you've like seen it since. Do you have a favorite part?
A lot of it, I mean, because it's a bunch of set pieces, so like every scene is something different. But that movie never stays still. It's always moving to another spot every scene. Yeah. But the part that probably sticks out the most right now, off the top of my head, is when I'm out there in the desert with the fans and talking to Howard Scott Warshaw. That was really cool. This film was awesome because like all those fans got to like watch us, you know, talk to each other. And here's like the first time ever where it's the nerd meeting one of the game designers. You know, that never happened before that, I don't think. It's happened a few times, but I don't think it ever happened on that like big of a scale.
It was the John Romero thing. We had a John Romero thing in the film.
Yeah, like a lot of that stuff happened later, but yeah, but it was a big deal. And like when I watched the movie and how fast paced it is, and like how like every, I mean, you said this to me one time too. You were like, hey, when I look at that movie, I see like every second is like a shot. That's like a whole project right there just to get that one, you know, second or like a few seconds, and then moves on to the next thing. And yeah, it was just a big part of my life for a while of just trying to finish this movie and checking off every shot that we needed until it was all done. But yeah, when I watch it, I'm like, holy shit, I can't believe that we pulled that off.
My thing about it is, you know, seeing you go off and do that. I was sort of a third party, you know, watching you do all that. That movie, though, what was interesting, what came to pass is that, you know, whatever people think about the movie, what I do think is interesting about the movie is how you had the foresight to think about, oh, these companies are going to start selling bad games, and like that has happened quite a bunch since then. There's like the Shank stuff, and there's the all the like the new Bugsy games and everything. I actually think, and then there's the re-releasing like Plumbers Don't Wear Ties and all this stuff. So literally these things that were nerd episodes are like getting re-releases and new versions and stuff. And I'm like, that's what the movie was like warning of.
This in the movie, there was these business people that were trying to like profit off of the nerd by having him endorse this sequel to E.T. So yeah, I think that's totally happened.
All right, so in 2007, James decided, in the middle of doing all these other nerd episodes, we were doing a lot of episodes back in 2007, that he was also, and on top of that, going to do this Monster Madness thing. So James was like, I think you had said to me, and you can correct me on whatever you want, but I'm just going off of my memory and things that I remember, is that you were like, oh, I have this idea to review 31 movies in October. Do you think I should do that? And I was like, yeah, I think that's an awesome idea. You should. Then you went ahead and did it. You were like up all night trying to get the thing done, and you made it, and it was awesome. And I think it's one of my favorite things the Cinemassive ever did was Monster Madness, and especially like the first maybe like 6 years of it, when we were actually doing like the 31, it's like, and all those camper movie reviews and stuff, I'm very proud of working on Monster Madness. I love doing that. So James made that first year of Monster Madness in 2007, but this is about YouTube. It wasn't on YouTube, it was on our website. For quite a while, Monster Madness for several years was on the website, and again, the only way we were able to do that was by getting ads on the website, and the only way that happened is that Ryan set that all up for us. James and I knew nothing about how you put ads on the websites and everything, so thanks again to Ryan for doing that, because we also wouldn't have been able to do those Monster Madnesses had we not been able to get paid for it and had the ads.
But yeah, but basically, I think that the first Monster Madness, they were on YouTube, they were short videos, I think. It was so long ago, it's hard to remember. But they were embedded on the website, and we had like these hands-on ads on the sides of it for like the movie, for the body. I think we thought that was going to bring in some cash. It's good. That is a bit like an affiliate thing where they pay you a percentage if somebody clicks and buys that product. And I think it was like shit.
Yeah, but in the forthcoming years, like 2008 and 10, we started getting like better ads on there, so we could get like way better. And then also we started having Flip, which never ran with YouTube as far as like finding the video, but like it was better than
people having to download like quick 9 files and that kind of thing. So it was getting like a little bit better. So eventually, YouTube changed, and like I was talking about with content ID, where if you were to upload these clips and they don't like it, now it just gets claimed instead of your channel gets taken down. That gave us the ability to be able to bring on YouTube. So now Monster Madness has been on YouTube. Dropping a video every single day on YouTube isn't really the best idea because it's like YouTube wants you to drop a video, and people are going to watch it, and then they'll sort of leaving it behind as you go up, and more people got to watch it, and you have to get traction and all this. So if you drop a video every single day on YouTube, it doesn't really work out that great. They want you to do it like often, but not that often. Maybe like once or twice a week or something works on YouTube, but not every day. So the idea of 31 videos doesn't really work these days on YouTube. So we've been doing less because of how YouTube works as well.
Yeah. I think by the third Monster Madness, that's one where I think was the first one that was on Bleach, if I'm not mistaken. Monster Madness 2000, I think that was the first one on Bleach. I'm not entirely sure, but I do remember Zingathon, the second one, was actually the first thing that was relevant for me after seeing that something.
I think it was Godzilla-thon, and then I can't remember the dates of the I think I did that somewhere, but like right around the same time, we started doing Spike reviews. So there was game trailers, and we had to go to game trailers because that was a little bit get paid at times. There was no big one, but I couldn't do it until I think maybe like 2010. But we're talking about 2007.
There was a time where you could monetize it, but we still didn't for a while because YouTube told us that they were about the game footage. Like, oh, we'll use the partner program. We're trying to get involved with that partner program, and it seemed like it was going to happen. And then at the last minute, they were like, oh, well, we're kind of worried about like calculating material on the channel, which was like the game footage. And it's like, oh, how are we going to use this game without the game footage?
So different years, games was trying for a while to get the channel, and then I got involved with getting the channel monetized. It's like when being monetized on YouTube was totally a new thing, and I wasn't even really thinking about it because we were on game trailers at the time. But what happened was, if you guys remember the show, some video games. Fraser, his channel monetized. He started talking to me, and that's a great show, by the way. That channel also do with me. So he talked to me about it before we were, and one thing led to another, and then I ended up getting the channel monetized. But it took me about a year to make it happen because I was concerned about the channel getting stolen from us, or like I've always had these horror stories about like. I remember like Laurel and Hardy, a lot of money taken from them back in the day, and everything was taken away. You hear these like stories of like people who created something, but then it's all like just away from them. So I was thinking about that, and I was like, I have to make sure that I wanted everything to be really plain text. Like you can have all your legal reads in there, but I wanted things in there plain text, like games. And my phone channels, James Ball's phones and the video game there, like very plain text. And I didn't sign a damn thing until I had all those plain text things in there. And it took me a long time to get them to do it. That was not the Screenwave, by the way, that was a different company. And then a year or two later, Ryan made Screenwave. And I was like, thank God to work with these people that I didn't even know who they are. So Ryan made Screenwave. It's been so better since then.
It's so much more with the friend that, like, there's some company that's very distant and I can do it,
This video is about our 20th anniversary, so I'm giving you some of this stuff that's like happened to us behind the scenes a little bit with YouTube and the platform and everything. So sorry for a little bit of just like technical YouTube knowledge, but that's what this video is. So back in 2007, we were on game trailers, and game trailers were split with MTV and Viacom and all that. While James was making the game trailers episodes, he would make a game trailers episode, and then we put the trailer, and you want to talk about
Yeah, so basically, like, the So if you really back up, it was on screen time, the video would come out screen time first, and then a week later we put on the channel. Between channels, it ended up being more like a year after, so it really we had to tell people, hey, the video is on the same day trailers, if you want to support us, go and buy. To do that, the advertising, we basically make a trailer for every episode and post them on the YouTube channel. To do it in minutes, trailers up together. And everybody was confusing that we're posting a trailer and the time to go getting the trailers. Some people just go there, like, oh, yeah, I see the video on the really, but it's just like trailers, to go see full things for a while. And then they get there, they get another website, and it's all different states and all Spike TV, man content, and all that stuff. And then on the website, there's a website as well. So they basically media. So I had already edited Godzilla-thon, and okay, so what was Godzilla-thon was that there was too much going on, and James was like, are you going to do another Monster Madness the next year? And James was like, I'm not going to do it. It's like, this is way too much stress. He's like, well, I edited it during the year, and then we put it out in October, and well, at least one page at that time, by the way. And I'll just edit it, and I would watch all the Godzilla movies and capture it, and then edit it, and to James would write it, and I would take his voice and edit it, and whatever. And then we put that out in October. But then at the same time, James gets this deal with Spike, and then he's like, oh, I can make all this movie content on their website, and that's finally I started to get paid for it, free YouTube, because, I was still working other jobs and stuff at the time. But then it became the new book about YouTube as well. So the first James was this month ago, and then a little bit later, I was able to start, kind of doing YouTube, or whatever you want to call it, Spike, or whatever we were doing. So we started doing all these movie reviews, which years and years later, now you can see those Spike movie reviews. I think a lot of them are on our second channel, this is the fifth channel, so if you want to check out any of those old movie reviews that we did. So that was one of the first projects I started working on as well. It was cool to be able to do that and you paid for it. So basically, you understand, like your check for those that get it. And one of the first things, I think it was Godzilla-thon, it was on Skype, but I asked if they wanted it. It seemed like they didn't, because they were like, I don't know, Godzilla movies on there, like, there's a
28 maybe, or 27.
so you're on the Godzilla movies. I just remember the conversation with Keith and it was like, yeah, that's a lot of Godzilla. And I'm like, I don't think I can do that. So we place to ourselves.
They probably would have went in before they were gone, for 18 years.
I get that. Whatever. It makes sense. We do that. We do things on Spike for a while.
I also do that with Batman. I was trying to be able to see what goes on in the building. It took me a year. I was only very person to take care of that outfit, because at the time, you couldn't just buy a builder outfit. It was before the People Legend movie, like, came out, so it was being made or whatever. And I didn't go around about what we were talking about. So I was like, I'm going to do a Romero builder. So that came I drove it until I was trying to make it there. but that also gave us big commitment to make because what I did is I got the right tuxedo characters. I had to look it up like what the hell he really was wearing back then, but when he came with it was good. And made him like a purple guy, and we made this purple, and then I printed it out with colors, and it was like really bright, and it was a white and white on the color, and like a this stuff. So what I ended up doing is get purple fabric piece, and I painted the border and painted the blue purple. If you couldn't just buy a purple food, I didn't know what to buy a purple food. And getting other different pieces of the teeth and the hair, and the whole deal, like putting it together. And so the part that I remember from Batman and the role, and my friends writing Dan Outlet, but it was just a part down or as a Batman research. They really had a release party a couple years after that, and I think James was dressed as the Riddler and I was Batman, but at that time, this company put out a bunch of 1960s Batman costumes like a few years later. You can just buy it now. Like the costume, the Joker costume I wanted, but now you can get it. But when you get the video, it doesn't exist yet. So now it's easy to get. You know, there are other Batman games. And speaking of, all these videos over the years, I did a video called Batman Leftovers one time. Because most people would think of the channel like just like an entertainment game. But in between, I was making a lot of other like little videos. Like, on that same time, somewhere in there, in 2008, 2009 or something, I made a show, a whole show like mixed game editions. So I made 16 episodes of that, and that was just me talking about different video games. And I also did another series about top 10 obscure games where I started doing those top 10 videos and things. So like, it would take time to make weird episodes. And also, back then, I remember James was working doing the movie. I was really concerned at that time that, okay, James was putting a lot of time into making this movie. There wasn't as many more episodes or anything, so I was like, there's going to be watching the channel after by the time the movie comes out. So I was like concerned about like the hype and the dying and all that. And I really, like I talked about back then, like I didn't really like to be on camera and stuff, but I really felt that maybe the channel was flux if there wasn't some kind of videos. So I tried to do some gaming videos like in between because I knew this movie stuff was happening. So that's really why I did it.
Yeah, so basically it's that when I was working on the movie, like this year, working on video stuff would still be content on the channel. Because like the movie.
Yeah, and I was maybe I'm wrong, maybe that I could have just let it sit and been the right sort of like every video game right up. But I might have been content kind of been fine. But at the time I didn't know like I was doing like videos that fun like great idea. So regardless of and it was also hard for me because about that being on this approach, like you never want to step into a great man's shoes. You know, because so you want to be, the main character, people who live up with the nerd. So if you need to come on with another character, when it comes to who's the color guy, like you need to go to just get it but I was like something we did a whole series of videos, guys, like 2 seasons, and we did like, I don't know, like 20 different videos about that. Do you remember that? I think there was more. I don't know. I was actually, I'm curious look at the list that was set up. Every Twinkle was awesome. That was basically like we had the video every Tuesday for the longest time. It was the island. I think the best one because the pizza party at a place. There was always Michelangelo's pizzas. The cartoon. Basically, every league that you have so we would play in real life. So we had a big pizza party. We would taste for all of them. And it was just I really wanted to watch the animation club one. We went through games like Bullet Block every episode for every episode. And whenever I would see a mistake, like that they were going to be able to go dead now. Or like it might be a demon, but there are voices coming out of it and stuff like that. all kinds of animation mistakes. And so we marked down all the different like little edits for animation mistakes. And so the video you see it with all these like bad errors that they made. Oh, I love that video. I think that video is maybe my favorite of Turtle Beach ones.
What was cool is like whenever we did something like that, we went all in because it was. I had never seen every Turtles episode like that. But I think that as a kid, I stopped watching around maybe season 4 or 5. But like when that came, when we made those videos, the whole mission was we're going to watch every episode and write all kinds of notes. And then in the end, we got like all these extra videos about it.
I was cycling and was hit gradually over the streets down along there. The issues of counterbalance is arguably the health crisis that's dealing as a society dealing with citizens today. Something that we feel strongly is that technology should be sort of a solution.
I think that's how it's a piece of the puzzle for each family is how to solve it.
There was like a main set of videos, like the cartoon series, part 1, part 2, I think it was part 3, and then it's like the top 10 animation clubs, and then all the other things that happen. And I'm going to give you revenge on you, Mr. Awesome Pussies. What? Awesome Pussies. Okay, it sounds like he's saying awesome pussy, but what's he really saying? Awesome Pussies. Awesome Pussies. Awesome pussy. He says it. I know you can say pussy in the cartoon. Talking about cinematic or shit loop. What are we doing there? I don't know what we did. It was basically the making of this thing called Beyond the Toilet. Yeah, I think we did like a new commentary. We posted, first of all, we posted the original movie, but I think for a while I posted another two. So we posted that, and all the behind the scenes videos that came with it. One of them was just really neat, like a color to the movie, and it's like that. Yes, he's also seen shit different. When he shot on yeah, the original movie was shot on the Rex 16 black and white birthday one. So when you see him out, there was the actual thought about it. The thing I realized as a gag sometimes because it felt like it must be immortal, that video. And you could say a lot of the audience find that video, right? It's a truly cool thing, right? Yeah, it's nice. There's no comfortable way to hold this thing. It's so heavy. Everywhere. I can't feel it pull up right now. It's a piece of shit. I feel like it's really college, basically. And you're like, oh, what? I just want to like people in this. I feel soft. Like, I was kind of like the video devil in my film class, and I was doing around shooting videos. I feel like a couple of them, but basically, we came out with that PDX 100 camera, shot in the second, and that looked a little more like film, like screen rate, cameras were getting better, but obviously it was up to this type of stuff. So as soon as we do about the 16mm film for the year coming, that was just really just building up a bunch of old films, the new quality releases,
There's a lot of really with the Dutch system down here. You were too. I was very into just doing things that I like. I still have a fan of Star Wars that I watched that with you one time. But I didn't have as much anymore. There was a point where I think I had every single Roadrunner cartoon on 16mm. And yeah, we shot that video years back. I'm glad we did it. Maybe hopefully it introduced some people into that world and interest. I mean, I still love it, but I kind of actually moved on from it.
yeah, same here, and I still on my phone, I just haven't screened it. The thing about 16-man marathon is that you just don't know what you're going to get. That's what makes it fun. So you never know, like maybe the film looks all red, or maybe there's something weird spliced in it somewhere, or maybe like it's not Flash the Titans that it's 2 years long, and I think the third reel is French for some reason. And it's like, hey, why would the third reel be French? Does that mean that it got mixed up with like a French thing of it? So now that one has two. Whoever got the third rule is English, you know? So it's just like, film is just weird.
I love Ray Harryhausen and stuff. I mean, I'm an animation guy. I just made a whole video on my members, on my all the members area on YouTube. And for my YouTube members, I made this video about cartoon DVDs on my cartoon DVD collection and talked about Looney Tunes and Disney and like just everything. Like it's a really detailed video. And but one thing I didn't talk about the Ray Harryhausen. It's not like a cartoon. It's like one of the segments in movies that were created. And speaking of stop motion, the game is like a beautiful print of King Kong, which is just so the fight with the T-Rex is so awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Actually, the weird thing about it, I had to actually splice the scenes back in. I think you found the missing scene for me separately or something. And I basically watched the movie that we connected to the frame and added those missing scenes in. Because there were scenes cut in the movie originally because of like violence or whatever. Like they put somebody in jail like that because that was too gruesome.
I gotta mention the video that we did in 2013. We did a video called Top 50 Shitty Shark Movies.
The fucking shark movies out. Oh yeah, shark movies. Shark movies. There's a shark movie. Oh, there's another shark movie. Oh, another one. Another one. Say it out. Shark movie, 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 shark movies.
It was originally top 40, but then there were so many other shitty shark movies coming out that it ended up got to 50. If we would update it again, it would probably be like 70 by now. But basically, so we came to me with this whole stack of DVDs out of all these shitty shark movies to the door. Because basically, that's how it would go. I'd say, hey, Mike, I have I do this video, let's do shitty shark movies, and we're like, okay, cool, I'll get the DVDs. So you get the DVDs, and then we'll capture them all and make the video. And then from that point forward, I was putting DVDs in my house. And I think you also gave me a lot of VHS tapes and DVDs that you had. But during this, I'll have a random movie in there, like Son of Mask, and I'm like, why do I have Son of Mask? And I'm like, oh, that's right, because we used a clip of it in that whole video. So basically, all the physical media in my life, there's like a reminder of these videos that I've made over the past 20 years.
So I ended up bringing a lot of my DVDs and Blu-rays over to James because I wasn't using them as much anymore. I had edited Monster Madness for about 8-9 years, something like that. And then we sort of changed things up. It had been going on and we still do Monster Madness now, but sort of less. I didn't read like 80 billion DVDs, but I didn't read the copy of Son of Mask and find all this stuff. So I ended up giving all these DVDs. And James already got a lot of DVDs, Blu-rays, all this stuff because they then I gave them all mine and you ended up making your movie and all that.
Possibly the funnest thing I could ever film. I mean, you're the last one again, but we were filming some bonus features for the DVD. I think that's what this was originally for. We were just showing stuff in the lane, and then you asked me, like, what's that thing over there? And it was the Vector Max Stunt Master, or Vector Max Stunt Master, whatever the fuck it was. And I was like, oh yeah, let me show you. So I got it off the shelf. So it's totally plain, unscripted, everything. And I started showing you how it works, like how it doesn't work, basically. And you look at my pump it up, I just it was a piece of shit. And then there was the part when you found out that there was that plastic stick that holds it up. And this thing was a piece of shit. And then we took the holder out, and we still had the plastic thing hanging on it. Well, could you imagine if you forgot this, if you left this on? You're like, oh guys, and you left it around, and then you got slammed. What if you forgot and cut it off, and then you forgot to take it off, and you couldn't walk around town with the thing? And that was the moment where I was just laughing myself to tears. Like,
you ever feel walking around? It's just, it was the video that you sort of replaced with the nerdy turd like later, but originally we had done a video where, and I think it James and I were playing Odyssey games on television on CRT, where you'd stick the regular writing to the television. Okay, listen. So over all these years, usually we do not drink during things. I think I can actually only remember 2 occasions where we drinking during videos. One was Friday the 13th, and the other one was this video where we were playing Odyssey games. And we were having some drinks, and I remember that being really fun. Oh, big property? Yeah,
I think, if I remember correctly, I think that was when you were helping me like the first two rounds because I knew a second person to let it go. And yes, I thought we released it separately as well because our commentary was so funny that some of it was funnier than the actual video. So basically, when we were doing the
I think you initially, I could be remembering this wrong, but I think you asked me to be in the video, and like, because we had so much fun doing it, and I said no, because I always felt like, and the only way that would work, I guess, is you would have to introduce me, and then I'd be a character like on ABDN. But I just thought it was weird because we were MI in the nerd universe, so I just thought it was like weird. But I was always okay with doing characters because it's like, okay, Spider-Man comes in, or Bunny comes in, or the Joker comes in, or whoever. That makes sense because that's a character coming into the nerd universe. If you just have like a random person come in, it's like really
If you remember one time you brought you yourself, and it was the only time I think it was in the Week 11 episode. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I did that and I thought it works because of like the right demons but I thought like that makes sense because I thought it could literally be anybody, but you could have another person do the same thing, so I was okay with that. Walk screen, selected characters. This thing I ever heard. That'd be like if I just walk screen right now. I'm getting too old for this shit.
So it's like if something works for that particular thing. So another video, we were Transformer. It was with me and Chad. You know,
Chad?
The video I think you came with the idea was that see Transformer the quickest, and we had like 3 rounds or something.
Yeah.
And there was a part where Chad he was trying to transform Megatron.
Yeah.
And he ended up making Mega Gong, basically. And so, and it started as totally like him just trying to transform it. But once that started happening, we were just all laughing so much. I think he won too, even though we didn't actually transform it the way you're supposed to. I think we still gave him the point because how could you not?
James and I have this history of just making up our own games and stuff, so I guess maybe I made that up. I don't even remember. But back in college, we had this card game where you put the cards like in one and another like a set of stairs, and then you have another card that you put over that, let's say it's like a king or a jack or something, and then you make the card like go down the stairs. But then the card would like end up falling down the stairs, and then we became drunk and fall down the stairs, or something. It would make no sense.
So I think I wanted to guess the seat of each one or something. If you got it wrong, you fall down the street. But the thing is, and I used the quote at recently at the Contra Phillips episode, where I go, look at cool, very stage. And you got something like that, like as obnoxious as possible.
I was a kid, we used to play this game called the Go to Fish. I forget the exact rules in a second, but like something, if you lost, you had to say fishy, fishy, got my wishy. And because you lost, it was your punishment to have to say that. So the drunken fool down the stairs thing was sort of a callback to that. Where I was like, no, you don't want to have to say drunken fool down. And you have to say it like really obnoxiously. So it was like if your card falls down the stairs, you have to say the line. But like that's your punishment for losing.
He goes down those stairs every day. So then he's like, what the fuck?
Oh, that's
Drunken fool down the stairs. Now, drunken fool down the stairs would be something I'd say in the video with no context whatsoever. I would do that a lot, but like, most of the time I would make it something where the audience has a chance to know what it is. So, like, I'll make a lot of references to American movies. You know, try to help me now, man. Like all those lines. Try to help me now. But there are some things I said that I don't think everybody got. And the one thing that sticks out was in the Bible Games episode, when I say, that's disgusting, I apologize.
it's pulled an air, the comedy tornado.
The comedy career, so he was a stand-up comedian, and he typically apologized for, he apologized for most of his jokes, and they're very benign things, but he'd make like a fart joke, and he'd be like, oh, it's disgusting, I apologize. The guy who listened to an infant child puking to death, that is choking on his own puke chunks. That's disgusting, I apologize. So when I said that in the video, I was referencing Paul Veneer, and a lot of people think it was really me apologizing for the quote about the baby or whatever, but like, it was just a reference.
Some of the things in the videos we do just for our own entertainment, and you have to do that like to keep your own sanity, because like sometimes doing these videos, even though they're fun videos to make, you know, you're working on it for many hours, so sometimes you stick things in there that make yourself laugh, because it's like, a lot of the jokes are for the audience, or for a wide audience to get, and some of them are literally just for you. One of those American movie quotes, I don't know what their video was, but it was the one where he's like, hey, if you take drugs and alcohol, you lose. And the way he delivered the line, he delivered it like Mike Shank in the movie, but when people saw it, they were just like, oh, is James trying to be like anti-drug now? Like, what is, like, people really didn't get that one, I remember.
In Zelda, you actually see the sword. But here, there's nothing. Did they forget to animate it? Am I supposed to use my imagination like a fucking board game? When you kill something, they just disappear. Nothing happens. They don't burst or make a sound effect or do anything to make you feel the satisfaction of killing it. There's no skill involved. You'll never know whether or not you're hitting the monster or the monster's hitting you. It's just as random as rolling the dice or playing the lottery. Sometimes you win and sometimes you lose. But I guess it's better than using drugs or alcohol, because with drugs and alcohol, instead of drugs, you always lose.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's a good idea not to do drugs, but that was a totally an American movie quote. That I do remember that. I think that was the book. 3 people to stay away from, and police officers, psychiatrists, and psychologists. I think I did that one, but that's just being honest. Some of my favorite things I've done were all the rotation tours. The first big one was Rocky Jumping Park Band. And then there was a lot of good years where I did the cemetery. Those are what they were. And I also all the trailers I made, like Dr. Jekyll, the game, the movie.
That was awesome. That was one, I think that was really awesome. And those monsters that you made, that got made and everything, that was awesome. I really wish you did more of those.
Yeah. So I did a trailer for one of the elves. That's a really good one too. I'm not experience, but still look at. Then there's also John Fucking versus the Extra Bastards. So we've done tons of the movie reviews, tons of Monster Madness and other random stuff. But one of the first ones I think we ever did was Henry Roach Top 10.
It's kind of off, like, you know, what about monkey stuff?
Hey, monkey fuck was at the end of flying fucking off versus the afterbastards. It was done a triple fuck fucker feature with monkey fuck and thunder fuckers. The thunder fuckers. Yeah. Thunder top 10 worst top 10s. That was when we were just like, we made so many top 10 videos and we were just kind of burning out a bit. And then we were just like, fuck it, we're just going to do whatever the hell we want. So top 10 worst top 10 was like all these ridiculous ideas for top 10 videos, some of which got made, I think. But I think number one was top 10 moments when Johnny Depp says the word dumb. And we would actually go into the movies and find clips where he says the word dumb, and we would isolate that. And you're like, oh, there it is, he said it. Number three, Sleepy Hollow. Number two, Pirates of the Caribbean, Dead Man's Chest. And number one, Charlie the Chocolate Factory. One of the times that we did that I really liked was the electrocution. Yeah, it's an electrocution scene. But Freddie Krueger comes out of TV, he makes the scene with one of his best one-liners. Yeah. So with that, window breaks, but I think somebody jumps through a window. I think it's some of my favorite videos we've ever done. I think that maybe some of the comments on the Number 13, Street Fighter. Everybody wanted a good Street Fighter movie, but with this piece of garbage, all our hopes were shattered.
In 2022, we did the last Ninja episode, and I had a lot of fun doing it because we got to film a fight scene. There was different music and guy in costume. Which is that's fun to do, but we filmed a fight scene where I was a puppet. So I'm like on top of James, like doing this kind of thing with me. Fuck you fucking piece of shit. We got
Yeah, the early thing was so funny because it wasn't so much them fighting. It wasn't just about that. It was about the awkwardness and the tension before they fight. Where like the nerd beats Ernie's skill in the game. Just by the way, it's just somebody named Ernie. Where I think there's Ernie in the credits, and we decided to make a stupid joke that it's Ernie, the Sesame Street character, and he comes into the room and he's like pissed off that the nerd beat his score. But he's saying about it. He's saying at first. And then he like ramps up.
And I'm pretty sure any cartridge will that. That's what his name. Like those are that in like so if you get a detail, I think it says Burden and like get credits. So when I saw that as I playing the game, I was like, okay, you would include Burden in there because it's in the game. See, it always has to start with the game, and then like you got like build on top of it. Like it doesn't like I don't like them. It's just a joke just for the sake of a joke, like Family Guy doesn't have it, like they're having a conversation and all of a sudden it's like getting related to like playing the game, or like playing the or like it's like or something. So the fact that it was like in the game really worked. And then James had this whole idea of like, Ernie's pissed about like gets his store broken, and I love that one. I think it was really good. And then in 2024, James did the Deja Vu episode, and that was an episode that I did not help record the gameplay. James did all of that because I don't know how to play that game. I know how to play Shadowgate, which is a similar type of game. I beat the Shadowgate, but Deja Vu, I don't know how to play that game. So James did all that gameplay. And then when I saw the finished product of that, like the way he did that, I was like, I thought that was fucking awesome. As far as my view on the videos. Oh, thanks, yeah. Yeah, I love doing that in the Pit Noir style. I thought it was really funny on the street. So what we're going to do is just go down the list of food. So all the companies of past product sales, and just pick out some kind of deal that stick out to you. It doesn't necessarily mean they're my absolute favorites of all time, but they're definitely
Okay, just some that stick out at this moment. So, I just mentioned the Counter Glove episode, because that is kind of different. Instead of playing a game, it was more about a game necessity. I think it was my first time really using the Power Glove also and trying to see how it worked. It was a different episode because I had to film the TV screen and show everything happening. So it was a bit complicated. I remember Power Glove episode. I was a little bit there for parts of you filming that, and I don't remember if it was my Power Glove or what. But the one thing I do remember is you having that old television with the WoW sticker, and I remember because I had the Power Glove as a kid, so I think I was telling you about it, and putting that plastic like sensor bar on the side. I remember showing you that and you being like, "What the fuck?" Like, you didn't know about that. And then you went and you looked up all like the codes online and everything about how to diet and all that stuff. So yeah, I remember you doing all that, and I think I brought over a stack of NES games. So we didn't. I think we didn't have a number that we made. So we didn't build and something. So that's how we 2007, man, we were too many of them from the game. The Christmas 2000 skits on it. Because back in those days, they split the episode into two parts. Often because we were coming out with two of them. So rather than, in the days, we typically would put out one big episode instead. But back then, we split it into parts. So Christmas Carol was like, basically, getting to do the whole Christmas Carol Street, which things that happen in a lot of TV shows and stuff. So it's kind of interesting. And the fact to show that the old trailer to the first one, the future there, that version of the future really has like the fake view and everything. But then there's the other version of the future where that's using that Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde episode. So there's multiple timelines in there. We have to go into that sometimes. But the funny thing now the lead is totally away, so it's not really, it's not a different but Alice is let go of that year. 2008 started as a very rough year for me because I was sick for like 4 months straight. It's an absolute thing, and it took too much overtime in these videos. But the one that was the toughest, but one of the best, was Mario 3. So it was that big fight with Satan and Super Massive Death Crunch. That was one of those ideas where it was just, one of the random things that was so off the wall, but it was so perfect. And I remember getting really sick during a burn. And while I was editing, I was losing my voice, and my voice started to sound like Zuzu, or the big human licenses. So I used that in my demo when I recorded what my voice sounded like for the rest of the Lex. It was like, but that was really my voice back then. I was saying, well, I was so basically, we're from using something most people do, I do where you guys really don't expect it to be so that's so I think that so sick, I brought the idea of function and you can see in the world. So it's really the movies all the time, people will believe or split time. We generally accepted splittist or linear theory. And yes, a split time of splittist, people believe that linear time is correct, except for the 430. 2009. Well, crazy facet. That was probably the craziest fallacy that we ever I'm not sure what people did that. Like how we ever did this. I don't think we ever did, but it's just like, really like we had eyes flat in the face, we had cooked blood, there were two things. That video had so much instruction and There's so much like choreography. The first page draw for me is good, but I think it's going to be faster. Really, like, creative info. I think the only way we could really stop that video, like, that physics, like, we literally sort of, like, it's video or something, like, it's a video dedicated to, like, really talk and make it, like, better. I think it would be really have to be, like, short film or something like that, but it would put us in a budget to be able to do that. So I think if we were to do that, it's almost going far, because this is like a game show, and it's like, if you watch that Crazy Castle episode, it's a mishmash because we're talking about the games and then we're fighting and back and forth. So if we just had to like cockpit and had a whole thing with us fighting and we're jumping off a building and explosions and all this stuff, it's like I think it's kind of getting beside the point at that point. So I think that was a good place to leave it. Yeah. And I think we do those type of guests videos every now and then. Like that's still a thing. Like that's one of the types of episodes that exist. But I remember, it's funny. This is just one of those things that goes with the nature of when the stroke is so into it. At that time, I remember we would always do things. Every time we would bring Bugs Bunny in or somebody, it's like, why can't it just be the game review? Why do we gotta have all these guest characters and stuff? And now people are like, oh, I remember that Bugs Bunny video. I love that one. So I don't think the show would have been as successful. I'm more of a gameplay guy, but I would say the show would not have been successful without all the skits and different venues, you know, and if that's more English forte, is like adding in all these like skits and segments. If it was all just gameplay footage of the show, there's no way the show would have gotten to be like bigger than the thing. Like, or everything was just like the first episode of gameplay footage. Like, it just wouldn't be. There's no way. But I do think that when there is characters and things like that the idea needs to have a foundation, and the foundation is the game. So as long as you have that foundation, like the way with the earning thing, there's a reason that you need to be there. So as long as there's that foundation, where it starts with the game, and then characters come from that, I think it works. But if it was just characters for the sake of characters, I don't think it would be. Yeah, it always starts at the beginning. Like every episode is like, play the game, see if this works for an episode, and if it does, then you can start, adding to the original story. So 2010 was a good year. There's a couple of Kevin that got a guide to a Gremlin episode. Those are really good ones. But I also want to mention How the Nerds Stole Christmas, because that was the only episode where the whole thing was in rhyme. We did the illustrations for everything. My friend Lee narrated it. I just remember that was like, to this day, that's such a unique episode. And that's what I like doing. I like doing like this long episode every once in a while, like a different style or a different thing. So that always keeps it fresh for me. I also did a couple of days there, I have to say. I think it was Fiscal the North Star and the Circus Paper. There's like parts and that can go on a while. I'm always concerned about the way you make the review. So I would beat the game, and then I think I wrote notes and stuff, but then I sent that all to you, and then you wrote it all wrong, which I still don't know how you made that. Altered Beast is a that stand notes. 2011, there was another episode actually. I can't avoid the Nintendo World Championships episode. But really, the one that took the most work to that year was or a phone, steering with a very active the robot to save all the bad things. That was the most experience of watching. We thought that that's been surpassed since. That was a huge episode. Let's go to that would be half the movie, so that would be two episodes per se. So this is actually more about the film having travel. And also when you do it on the sports movie, sports dramas, and sports. They're all different, all three ways, different episodes, but I think Atari Sports has the most moments that stick out to me, like when I'm, flipping out over Madden games and, fucking football and all that stuff, like that. There was some good rants in there. Because I don't know a lot about sports, so the idea people do, they don't make anything about sports if you don't know what they're talking about. But that made it funnier that I didn't know. Like, who the hell is mad if you don't look like an athlete, And I stuff about, bad 93, bad 98, bad 94, bad 95, bad 96, bad 97, bad 98, bad 99, bad 97, he's getting mad anyway. He doesn't look like an athlete. The 2013, I gotta say, it was probably the episode, really good. It was a really cool episode. People are getting my remembered from my youth. So it's always good when you start with something that you actually have something experience with. So unfortunately, that was the year the movie came out. But the episode that stuck out to that year, it's a big one. And after the young days of Christmas, that was it. That episode. It was good. That episode meant the last 12 days. That was pretty good. Well, that was the team. And you know the fact that but the new started that I didn't get closer there. 2016 was the tender I got a bunch of legacy. That was sort of like a big thing during the day, sort of retirement and so I did too. The other thing that is that because it wasn't a real thing. The wasn't basically the whole idea as well. And that's really fun. He's a boy. In Home Alone. Yeah, I'm still a pizza boy. Yeah, that's amazing. You have more, I think you have more than just saving that shit, because it was a full episode filmed in one take. You realize how hard that was to do. I mean, what's the thing? But this guy constructed this whole set and we walked through it, and everything is a whole video, including any of the gameplay, everything that you see, all the things no editing whatsoever. No editing, but lots of preparation. So 2020, I wasn't interested in it like that in COVID, but looking back, I think we went off with the top 5 health was mission to play with the whole skip at the end. So we got not Tom Cruise to be in the video, and basically, like, he was in disguise as the nerd the whole time. So I love that. 2021 was like the comeback year after COVID. So basically, in the summer 2021, I think we really picked up on this, but there's too many videos to figure out. We got the most episodes since 2009, I think, but less than 2014, which had the 12-day Christmas. But 2021 had a huge amount of episodes. Episode 200, all the ugly endings, was the biggest episode I've done of that 2020. So episode 200 is basically finish all the ugly endings I've done. So basically, I mentioned all the things that I've done before, but then check off every ugly ending from the list. So that was a good episode. I don't forget about Fear Loading in Las Vegas. So that was one that took a few years to finish. But Fear Loading in Las Vegas is a whole thing with style about camera function. And that was my favorite to write. And it's writing this style. So I absolutely love that. Yeah, the 2021, 62, the return of Freddie and Wilson for the 60 building. So, yeah, 2021 is a big year. I really like that Amiga, '83, and '52. Yeah, when we finally used the flamethrower in the game, yeah. That's one of the great stuff to do that. So, let's continue, we go to the last movie, which was the Doom episode, the Garfield, I love the book, the Contra episode, I think, was the kidney. That's still today the best episode, I think, because the end of that Contra episode, I've got 7 minutes on it, talking about what it was really like, looking at the games and comedy. It was just kind of like, this is like nostalgia, it's like those rose-colored glasses or whatever you're saying, but it feels like looking back very fondly. And I think I remember you texting me something when we were doing this episode, because I already had an idea that I was going to that's like, you were like, yeah, I think we should make an episode where you could make people cry. Like, we talked about the time and both of us, you maybe said no, and I was like, yeah. Kind of a little bit, but once I remember the end of the Castlevania 4-parter, I remember feeling kind of like sad that like the Castlevania 4-part thing was like over. And also we have been talking about the idea of doing something different in these episodes, like Seaman and like just different types of episodes. I was like, what about making different? How to make them cry? So they did. So 2023, Indiana Jones episode, the creation of the Indiana Jones episode, it really about the Dial of Destiny. So of course I had to have the diarrhea dial. So basically the nerd loses the weight from two timelines. So it's losing it the third day, and also the other episode. So I basically recreated that shot, bring it over and everything. So it's basically like that third episode just that was the idea. Also, 2023, once you get a win score, I think, but Dr. Jeffries from my family, it's one of the best, if not the best in the game. The reason I look to that was the Mac audience, so we can have sometimes you can make it different about it. But it's good sound good. I'm not lie, but aside from that, everything came out great. I play a story with the makeup, so I basically play nerd. The first thing is the father Mary role in The Exorcist. So basically, it's a whole spoof of The Exorcist, but exercising a different different. So having that closure and finally use Decker in the house for the first time ever was definitely something on the bucket list. So 2024 was already such a favorite word. That's definitely one of my favorites. But also, the year ended with a big two-part Blaster Master and then State Glitches, the Legacy Secret. So it was kind of cool to bring back the glitch gremlin for all these years. So we wanted to do like the style of the Foley modern Legacy sequels where they continue they bring back old chemistry mode. Well, 2025, I did episode 2 and I did Mario with Raw, so the Metro Trilogy, and then the Werewolf episode. E.T. also, most recently, E.T. for this on the PlayStation, now it's I had to pick one, probably the Werewolf team because I get to play a werewolf. So, I mean, I love classic horror, and doing something that was kind of a spoof of the Wolfman was definitely, another one on my bucket list. 2026 is up in the air. We'll see what happens, but we have a lot of episodes in the mix and a lot of surprises coming up. So anyway, it's been really fun talking about just the team meeting on YouTube channel. I mean, holy shit. What's crazy about it, if you look back at 20 years, it feels like many things have changed in my life in over 20 years, but the one thing that remains the same is the nerd. It really is sort of like one of those things that time stands still. So every time I put the white shirt on, every time I go on the camera and start going, it just really feels like really comfort things where it's something that stays the same. You know what I mean? And a lot of people say that to me too. A lot of people say, like, oh yeah, I like the fact you're still doing these episodes because I can always, turn it on and watch it and it's always there. So that's really cool.
I just want to say thank you very much for again to the audience because we wouldn't have any of this without the audience.
Absolutely, for sure, 100%. And yeah, it is really cool to have a character like that where I get to be myself, but I also get to like be somebody who's not myself, like the nerd. And so it's kind of fun in a way to be associated with the character, and I can always sort of just embrace that, where like I can just say, "I'm the fucking nerd. Have a rolling rock on me," and it's always good.